today's project. Take 2. Scuppernong muscadine jelly. The first time, I don't know what went wrong exactly. I ended up with 10 jars of Scuppernong muscadine preserves instead of jelly. And I think it's because I had this bright idea to use the Casino Pro tomato juicer to de-seed the muscadines after I had cooked them down. So it also put in some of the pulp, which was great because there was very, very, very minute amount of waste. I had some seeds and a little bit of whole thrown away, maybe not even half a cup, or a little, you know, around that. I mean, very little waste. So that was awesome. Out of 16 cups of muscadines and scuppernongs, I ended up with 10 jars. So, on to take 2. I thought that I had gathered both bags of scuppernongs that were given to me this week and cooked them down. In turn, in my distractions, what I had done was grabbed 1 bag of the scuppernongs and 1 bag that I had frozen of muscadines that I knew I needed to use. So I should have grabbed both bags of scuppernongs and the bag of muscadines, but I didn't. So I have this one left, and I'm going to do this one totally different. This time I'm going to cut these muscadines, put them in the pot to cook them down, gently mashing, not trying to really homage them. I'm just going to squeeze through a cheesecloth or something of that sort to get the juice. So I'm going to get these washed up good, make sure there's no stems around or really bad ones, and I'll get back. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just cut these in half and put them in the pot. Let's see if this doesn't make the juice come out a little easier, and maybe we can get some clear liquid this time. Now, I did not video my first efforts at doing the preserves. I've never done jellies and things. I've tried apple jellies without pectin before, and I got apple syrup. So, I mean, it's just not my thing. I don't eat sweets anyway, and so, but these were given to me by a friend, and I was not about to turn them down or waste 2 gallons worth of scuppernongs. So, I'm getting my pot going with cutting them up and putting them in here. I've got my jelly jars in here to get hot. Again, I've already sanitized them, but I'm gonna heat them up again. I had let them cool because I was so frustrated about the jam that I decided to take an hour's break. And y'all hear that? That's thunder. We may get some more rain. I'm excited. Okay, and so I've got my lids over here in rings, and I'll be getting out sugar and a little butter and some water. Something else I did not do this morning, but I'm going to do this evening, is I'm going to save a few seeds and soak them and ferment them and see if I can't grow my own scuppernongs. And as you can see, all I'm doing is making a good split. I'm not necessarily cutting them completely in half, and I'm measuring as I go. 2 cups at a time. I've got 2 cups in the pot so far, and I'm just going to continue on until I know how much I have. I ended up with 9 cups of scuppernongs, and you need a 1/4 cup of filtered water per cup of Scuppernongs. So for me, that's going to be 1.25 cups. So we'll take our filtered water and add it to the Scuppernongs. Turn it on a low heat to get it started, and then we'll crank it up, get it boiling, and work it in and try to get as much juice extracted as we can without making too much of a pulpy mess. So I put the Scuppernong seeds in water to soak. To get the pulp off, I'll let it soak overnight, and then I'll clean them off by gently rubbing between my fingers and lay it on some paper towel to dry. As these are getting warmer, I'm just mashing them a little bit, kind of express the juice. I'm not going to mash them as hard as I did this morning with that first batch. I really had them good and mashed, and then I ran them through that de-seeder, so I had a lot of pulp, and it was great. I didn't have any waste, but I wanted jelly, so this time we're going to get jelly and not jam or preserves. As you can see, the more they cook, the more juice you get, and I'm just gently mashing. Okay, so these are cooking pretty good. I've set up another pot here to strain into with a bigger colander and a small strainer. We're going to catch as much as we can, seeds, pulp, and get as much juice as we can. Okay, so what I did was I first poured through the sieve, and then it was up here on top, and then I reversed it and poured the bulk of that pulp in this, and we're going to go continue to mash it and express the juice. And that way, if any seeds escape while I'm mashing, they'll be caught in the sieve before they go into the pot. And then, as you can see, in the pot is the nice clear liquid that I was hoping for in the first place. So this method works a lot better for actual jellies. And my jars are getting very hot again. Alright, so this is what's left, and yeah, there's a little liquid left in there, but I'm just going to set it to the side. This pulp is fully compostable, so it'll go out to the compost bin, and we're going to keep working this juice so we can add our sugar and get it ready for jelly. Okay, so this is my juice, and I'm going to run it one more time through the sieve into the big pot. As you can see, it's a clear liquid, and I only saw one tiny little particle of a seed, and it was caught in the sieve. So now we're ready to start our jelly. Okay, so after I did the sieve, I ended up with right at 4 cups of juice, and so I went back to the smaller pot. No need in the big pot. It just wasn't very much. So we're going to be adding our sugar. It is supposed to be 1 cup per cup of juice, but I'm not going to use quite that much. These were very ripe, so they're very sweet, and I want to cut back on some of the sugar anyway, so 3/4 cup per cup. Okay, so with 4 cups of liquids, it's going to end up being 3 cups of sugar. This is organic cane sugar. Got 2 here. I'm going to add the next cup. Perfect. Now I'll just refill my jar. Alright, we're going to stir this in and get it melted. So we're just going to stir this in. It's good and in a hot, heated rolling boil that will not be disturbed. And it gives it time to cook down and thicken. This is a no pectin method. And we'll wait till it sheets on our spoon. So we'll be back in about 15 to 20 minutes. I also swapped to a metal spoon so that I could see the sheeting as it happens better than I could on that plastic. And I'm pretty sure that's the reasoning most folks say when you're doing jellies and jams, use a metal spoon. I really don't like using metal in my pots, but for the sake of this is what we're doing. And we're just going to stir as we wait for it to come to that hard rolling boil. And I see it's got a little skim, so I may add just a touch of butter, which will pull that skim away. And this is a little bit of butter that I'm adding, just a little pat. Will be plenty. It doesn't take much at all. I'm also going to add a little acid. I think I'll just feel better about it if I do that. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons. It won't affect the taste, and it'll just make sure these jars are acidified, and I'll feel better about it. It's not required on grape jellies, but it is on other preserves, and so it's not going to hurt. It'll only help. And we're getting to that good boiling. Awesome. I'm going to cut it down just a hair because I'm afraid it's going to boil over. And we're going to do this for probably about 15 minutes. We're just going to keep stirring, 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 so that it can thicken up. You can see I've got some very hot jars and lids and rings. I've got my supplies. I've got my vinegar spray with my cloth. I've got my debubbler and my magnetized stick, my lifters, and my funnel. Also have a ladle for when I'm dipping the jelly mixture into the jars. And we're going to give those a 1/4 inch headspace, and I'll be showing you that. Okay, now we're sheeting really well, if you can see that. So it is time to fill our jars. I'll take my ladle. We're going to fill to a 1/4 inch headspace. Now usually most things are an inch, but jellies, jams, things like that, they go to a 1/4 inch headspace. And I have my debubbler. I'm going to run that around in there for a second. I'm going to measure. Not quite there yet. Debubble. And there we go. Now, I'm going to fill each of these jars, and then we'll come back and clean our rims. So we got 4 cups, which is 4 of these jelly jars of Scuppernong jelly. And we're just cleaning these rims super good. You don't want anything sticky on there at all, or your lids won't seal. And I sure don't want to waste the effort after doing this all day long because of messing up. Well, I won't say I messed up completely because it is usable, the Scuppernong jam, but I wanted jelly, so I relit the calf, learned from my mistake, figured out how to do it, which way works best for me, following the safety guidelines of ball canning and the USDA. food and nutrition safety guidelines. I've got hot jars, hot lids, hot rings, and a hot canner. Ooh, that is hot. Usually I can touch pretty hot stuff, but anyway. And so these, when I get this finished, will go into the canner, into a water bath canner for 10 minutes. And then once the 10 minutes is done, I'll turn the timer off and allow it to sit 5 more minutes before I remove it from the canner. My canner is already bubbling hot from where I sanitized the jars. So I'm just going to transfer the newly done jars over to the canner. And normally I would be supporting these with a hot pad underneath, but I wanted to show you and hold the camera at the same time so that you can see. I'm just going to load it with the jars that I have and then process it. So I only have 4 jars in this water bath canner, but I'm not wasting water or electricity per se because I have used this same canner of water all day today. I just added a little extra water and got it going. So I'm fixing to, that's Mississippi talk. I'm getting ready to lower them in and set my timer. Now, we want to make sure that our water covers our jars at least half to an inch. I know I'm probably steaming you up, but I wanted you to see that the jars are completely covered. And this is going to come to a rolling boil, and then we'll start our timer. As always, throw you down some parchment paper or an old towel or something where you're going to be working so that cleanup is easy breezy. All there is to it. So now when my jars are ready to come out of the water bath canner, they can sit right here on this clean towel. Okay, so our Muscadine or Scuppernong, these are Scuppernongs in this batch. Scuppernongs have processed 10 minutes and have been sitting for 5. So I'm going to remove the lid and we're going to set them out. Opening that lid away from me, I don't want to get burned. Now that's what I'm talking about. That came out a lot prettier. I actually have jelly this time. So for those of you that think Mimsy's the cannon queen, nah, I'm learning too, especially when it comes to the jellies. Now vegetables, I pretty much got it. Meat I can do, most meats. But I haven't done jellies before, other than trying the apples without pectin that one time before the old-fashioned way and got a lot of apple syrup. And got some good apple butter and some good apple sauce. But this is what I was after. I wanted to make this for the 2 patient crew and also Christmas gifts. So some will get Scuppernong jelly and some will get Scuppernong muscadine jam. And that was today's project. So, thanks for joining me in the kitchen as I learned right along with you.